going to start by a news story. New name created and a news story. It's in Sri Lanka, and these three lovely ladies work for the Rala project. You can see in the photo that they are laughing and smiling. They thought I was a bit odd when I asked them to stop work and come out from the factory to show what they'd been making. But they obliged. Nonetheless, they came out and they posed with their bags, so you can see them proudly holding a little bag. And the observant amongst you might recognise that as a product that was sold through our website last year. That's the checkered bag and purse set from Rala, and this is a real success story as to how the internet has worked for us. Rala were a new group, and they're also a small group, so we were testing the relationship, and also they couldn't make a lot of bags. So we just put it on the internet to see how popular it would be. And it was popular. We put in quite a few orders for this bag, so many that the bag has now earned its place in the paper catalogue. So this coming year you'll see the bag in the catalogue. If you look online you'll see 2 other colour variations. So again, we're using the internet to our benefit. So the ladies in the photo, they're smiling, they seem like they're having a good time. But behind each of those smiles, each lady has a story of personal loss and sadness, because they're all victims of the tsunami. They live in southwest Sri Lanka in a coastal town called Ambalongada. The main road runs right along the coast, and when I visited, apparently it was a calm day, but the waves were quite intimidating by British standards, so you can imagine what it might be like on a stormy day. I turned around, and behind me that's what I saw. The devastation of the tsunami. And those houses, when I was there last year, still hadn't been rebuilt. Many people lived along the coastal road, and when the tsunami hit, their homes were completely destroyed. Now, Tearcraft have been working in Sri Lanka for the last 30 years. We've been partnering with a group, Gospel House. I'm sure many of you know the wooden toys and jigsaws made by Gospel House. Gospel House themselves weren't affected by the tsunami because their offices are in North Sri Lanka, so they were okay. But Modestus and Sharan, the brothers who run Gospel House, are Christians, as all of our organisations are headed up by Christians. So Modestus and Sharan, their Christian instinct was immediately, what can we do to help? The day after the tsunami hit, they filled their van with bottled water and fresh fruit, and they drove down to the south and gave relief aid to those people who needed it. So immediately they were in there helping. That was a good short-term solution, but longer term they wanted to do something to rebuild those devastated houses, to rebuild lives and to rebuild communities. So they set up a charity. So that's one of our partners setting up their own charity. It's called CRUF, Community Restoration Upliftment Fund, and that's an umbrella name, an umbrella organisation which enables them to get involved with lots of little smaller projects. So in the photo here you can see a British couple, Nigel and Rachel, who were heading up CRUF at the time, giving fishing nets to a fisherman to help him rebuild his fishing business. So that's one project that CRUF were able to help with. They were given this building around the same time. They gave it a lick of paint and inside furnished it with sewing machines, and this became the home of Rala. Gospel House set up this textile business. And when I visited, it was bright, breezy, colourful, full of modern equipment and lots of ladies busily sewing away. On the day I visited, they were sewing our checkered bag. So it's a hive of industry and has proved to be a successful business. But what's the real difference? Yes, it's a successful business. Yes, the bags have sold well. But has it really made a difference? Well, if we look at the story of this lady, Sudharshanu, we can see the difference that Rala has made to her. She applied to the new textile business in town. She applied to Rala for a job. But if you'd received her CV, you probably wouldn't have offered her the job, because there was nothing on there to recommend her as an employee for your new business. She'd never used a sewing machine before. She had no experience of textiles and just no qualifications relevant to the job. Nothing to recommend her as your new employee. But she got the job. Because Rala looked for people who need help and who have potential. And Sudharshanu really filled both of those criteria. She came to Rala and she told them her story. She lived in one of those houses along the coastal road, and she was at home when the tsunami hit. All she can remember is grabbing the hand of her small niece as the waters came over her home. She regained consciousness 400 metres from her home, and is so thankful that all of her family survived the tsunami. All of her family survived, but materially Sudharshanu lost everything. Her home was completely destroyed. She lost all of her possessions and also her means of income, because before the tsunami she worked spinning yarn out of coconut husks, and all the equipment she used for that was in her house and was lost in the tsunami. Even if the equipment had survived, making yarn from coconut husks doesn't earn much money. It couldn't have paid for her house to be rebuilt. So she really had no hope of the future, no idea how she was going to rebuild her life and get back on her feet. So she went to Rala and explained her story, and they saw her need for help, and they recognised her potential, and they trained her in textiles. So she became their first machinist, and you can see now she's smiling. And this is what she says. I'm very happy at Rala. The workshop is bright and cool, and I'm surrounded by colourful fabrics and new friends. And that last thing she says about new friends, that's so important, because alongside the money, which has been critical for Sudharshanu in rebuilding her life materially, she's also had a huge emotional strain, and she's been able to share her story with other ladies with similar backgrounds, because Rala employ many women like Sudharshanu who are all victims of the tsunami. So together they've been able to begin to rebuild their lives and offer each other that much needed emotional support as they do that. So today Sudharshanu can smile. If you look around, you'll see a few products that Sudharshanu and her friends have been sewing at Rala. This year we've got a new product, a school PE kit bag. So that's the one with the trainers on it. If you want to make a statement at the beach, then have a look at the beach bag with the big flower on it, and the ever popular checkered bag and purse set is back for this season. And did you know it's reversible? So have a look at that and see what it's like on the inside.